No, siren. Not like, "Ah, good night, everyone." Ah.
Does anyone? Whoop, sorry. Good morning. Does anyone else have the like the car alarm memorized?
Like that. That one.
No, the like.
Yeah.
It's internalized in most of us.
Yeah. I love it.
All right.
How dare you?
I don't think we're supposed to step into this.
So welcome to this panel. Back in 2019, we did a similar panel called "Are Bronies Still a Thing?" as a question, and this is the answer: yes, Bronies are still a thing.
Thank you for coming to our panel. We'll see you next year.
Yes. All right.
So before we get started, I actually have a video I want to show you guys. This is from Banquo. I think that's how you say his name. Oh, you're right there? Hi. Yeah, also, for the AV, I do have a question. Are naughty words allowed or not? Because I do have an edit where it doesn't have naughty words.
They weren't listening.
No? Okay, I have the edit. I'm going to have the edit then.
In the beginning.
All right. All right, now I can show the video.
Keep prepared.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's awesome.
We'll just have the video screen up.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for it.
Wow.
Okay, here we go.
In the beginning, Faust created the heavens and the earth, and Equestria with these little horse thingies. And all was peaceful in the world. And then a website called 4chan got its little gremlin hands on it, and pictures of ponies flooded the metaphorical airwaves. Ironically or unironically will never actually be determined, but it got so bad that the moderators had to ban users from pony posting just so that everyone else could get some peace and quiet. So these newly minted bronies decided, fine, we'll make our own community.
With blackjack and hookers.
And they did.
Approved.
2011 began as the year of the horse. Not actually though, because the year of the horse technically wasn't until 2014. And this funny little pony-related website was created by this person. You may not have heard of it though, because it kind of flew under the radar. March rolled around and this person started making Eurobeat remixes of music from the show. I'm sure this will not set off a trend of horse music for decades to come. Speaking of trending horse-related content for decades to come, and wouldn't you know it, writing about equines started to become really enticing. But what would happen if a bunch of these antisocial outcasts decided to meet up in real life? The pony takeover was well underway, and every major news network and YouTube channel wanted to take their cheap shot because, well, it was easy. Easier than right-clicking an NFT from a crypto bro. It was a simpler time back then. In fact, it was so popular to hate on horse that when the internet reacted to them, they reacted back. And everything was totally okay, and it didn't cement the world's hatred for bronies for years to come or anything. Well, that sounded important. And this is also important.
Careful, Derpy! I just don't know what went wrong!
Because that means the rulers of horse recognizes the brony delegation. Just don't let the delegation go on a filibuster about best pony, unless you want to break the long-standing congressional record of 24 hours and 18 minutes. Then things went crazy, mostly after this happened. And the fandom popped off. So much music, art, memes, parodies, and loving and tolerating the out of people that BronyCon literally exploded.
But remember you home. Things are going to be fun.
Even made a whole freaking episode that wasn't an episode, but wasn't. Even celebrities got in on the action, with fans attempting to play detective to decipher whether or not their cryptic photos meant that they were one of them. After all, it was trendy, and all publicity is good publicity. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and thus, the Brony fandom died. Except, oh wait, no it didn't. Around this time, fans really started thinking about the show, which leads to the rise of the Brony reviewer, which is kind of like the fandom equivalent to the Greek philosophers of old, except with way more drama and way more getting canceled on Twitter. Brony has gone super critical. deluge of DeviantArt OCs engulfs the interwebs. Creativity and community is at an all-time high. Nerd is finally starting to become cool. Nothing can stop the horse supremacy from... Oh, the fandom died again.
Sadly, yes. But I lived.
Despite Hasbro's best efforts anyway, Brony content creators are hit with more C's and D's than my college finals. It is an era of volatility, yet the show must go on. After all, there is money to be made. Season 4 ends in May of 2014 and injects a new spark of energy. I mean, what else do you want to call this?
It's some serious gourmet shit.
The pony train kept on rolling.
Get it on the floor, get it on the floor.
Seasons came and went like the rise and fall of historical empires. Conventions spread like wildfire across the globe. The fandom and the creators crept even closer to becoming a singularity. That fact became clear in June 2015 with the airing of the 100th episode. As time went on, Bronies became less of a meme fad. Growth slowed as more casual fans left the community, but that just meant only the diehards were left. The ones in it for the long haul, or the ones who had so much of their identity forged by this fandom during their formative years that they couldn't possibly leave. Either way, the stubborn bunch of horse nerds refused to die. New fans still saw a thriving collective, especially when this happened. The herd was in steady state, with plenty of content creators keeping the flame glowing. Sure, it wasn't exactly the golden years, but no one is expecting it to last this long, least of all the Bronies themselves.
What the hey?
But as stated before, nothing lasts forever. BronyCon held its last convention in August 2019, the largest Brony convention in the world, with an attendance of over 10,000 people over its 4-day event. Then after a 9-season run in October 2019, 9 years after it all began, the finale of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic aired. Many tears were shed, and thus, with the end of the show, the fandom also came to an end. Bronies are way too stubborn, although the hiatus between G4 and G5 was incredibly arduous, especially since the whole world ended. To survive, the fandom had to subsist off of nothing but sunlight, online conventions, and this. Thankfully, in October 2021, a new generation, G5, dropped.
Finally, some good food.
And the fandom saw a surge in new members to join its ranks. New content creators came out of the woodwork, and Brony veterans returned once more to add to the hype. That's right, the ride never ends. After all, this community was supposed to have died 4 or 5 times over by now. So what does the future hold for the Brony community? If I were to hypothesize, probably some with horses, I don't know, fuck.
You missed the last one.
Yeah.
That was great.
All right, yeah, that's from Banquo over there in the audience.
Stand up.
Stand up, yeah, you made that.
That was great. Awesome work. So good.
Yeah, so if you've never heard of Bronies, that's a very good like compilation of like the past decade or so of the fandom. It's called A History of the Brony Fandom, but way too fast, and you can search for it on YouTube. But I'm PaleoSteno. I'm your host for this panel. I've been in the fandom for like since 2011, 6 August of 2011, and I started doing like reviews of the show and everything. And then I met everybody on this panel because of the show. So I guess we'll introduce everybody. So I'll start with Saber on the end.
Hi, I'm Saberspark.
Hi.
I'm AC Race Best.
Yeah.
I'm Black Griffin or Gabriel Brown.
I'm Jaxblade.
And I'm Hirasashi.
So a lot of this panel is just sort of gonna be reminiscing about the fandom and stuff, because like we kind of did that last year where we had like people ask questions or like share their experiences about like being in the Brony community. So if anybody wants to start on stage or in the audience, that'd be great.
We'll just talk about like how we got into it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I remember I was back in like May 2011, and I was working at Burger King. So if you worked at fast food, you know that sucks, right? Like anyone work fast food? Yeah, it's just like, yeah. See, all the hands go up, you know. Yeah, so it was one of those situations where like every day I was just like come home like angry and stressed, and then I was on this website called spill.com, which is now doubletoasted.com, and I remember there was like this little thread of those directors that made like Disaster Movie and Vampires Suck and all those like movies and stuff like that, and I was like, oh my god, they're still making movies, what the heck? And so I went to the comment section, and someone like had posted this like video clip, this very small video clip of this yellow and pink Pegasus, and I was just like, okay, what is this? And it's just like, this person is so frustrated she can just scream, and I'm like, okay, let me watch this, and like, I am so frustrated, just scream, and I'm expecting like this big old yell, and it's just like, I can't even do it. Like my freaking voice is gone. But it's just like that freaking squeak. Yeah, that squeak. Yeah. That freaking squeak. And I was like, that was kind of cute. And I was just like, so like I went to this. I started looking up specifically clips of that one because there was like a bunch. Like there was this legend called Cairo Spawn who would just upload like these clips. And I was like, okay, I know I like this yellow one. And I started like just watching clips and clips of it. And I was just like, I really like the yellow one. I vibe with her. She's cool. And so like I decided, you know what, let me watch an episode. And so I like put it on, and I didn't pay attention the first time. But then the second time, I was like, you know what, let me watch the season opener. And I remember specifically just watching it like, okay, yeah, oh, this is all right. I really like the style. It reminds me of something, but I couldn't place it at the time. But then I realized, oh, Lauren Fowles later on. And so I'm like, oh, it seems very familiar. And I watched the first episode, and it's a cliffhanger, so I was like, you got to watch the second. And so, like, I get to the second episode. I remember this was the part the show had me. It was in the second episode when they get to the forest, and, like, they go in, and Pinky is just laughing at trees because, like, the villain Nightmare Moon. Oh, God, I feel such a brony for remembering Nightmare. I remember all this like that. But it's just like, it is like Pinky like starts laughing at these trees, and Twilight's just like, Pinky, what are you doing? Run. She's like, oh, girls, don't you see? And then she starts singing Giggle at the Ghosty. And then I thought, oh, this is a preschool show. They're just going to start singing along with her. And Twilight's first thought was like, tell me she's not. What is wrong with you? We were like in the freaking forest. Like, what is that? I rewound that like 12 times because I was like, there is no way this kid shows this self-referential. And then I just like marathon the entire thing. And then I was stuck. And then I met that one and that one and that one and that one. And then, and then, well, this is a decade later.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't believe it.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Okay. Well, back in 2011, I used to go to 4chan. I don't do that anymore. But I was browsing the co-board, and I saw just ponies after ponies after ponies. And luckily, it wasn't as hard for me as I think it was for other people. I saw them, and I was like, I like cute stuff. So then, like, I watched it, and as he said, episode 1's the cliffhanger. I was like, well, you gotta watch the second. They're so smart.
Yeah,
like,
they are. They really grab you with that.
Like, and then I watched episode 3, and then 4, and then 5, and I was like, well, I just finished episode 13, and there's not a 14th one yet.
That's crazy.
Then I'm a brony.
No,
How about
that's
that? Like,
he
right?
was so advanced because he was watching when season 1 was still coming out fresh. Like a majority of us saw season 1 like in bulk. Like we just got to marathon the entire thing. He's a rare child where he's just like, wow, I have to wait for an episode. I was like, that just seems fascinating to me.
I had to wait for Suited for Success, which is like one of the best episodes of season 1. IMO.
That is a really good one.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know,
Which is funny because it's like the super like girly, oh, we're making dresses episode. It's still the like one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Right,
I
yeah.
like that song. That was the first song that I like really liked. Was the song in Suited for Success. And I remember putting it on my phone. You couldn't get it on, so I had to like rip it off YouTube and convert it to an MP3 and put it on my phone. And then I was like, nobody knows this song. Cool. But I had actually, my story is very similar to yours, where I had just seen the pony stuff pop up and I didn't really have much interest in it. It was just an internet thing. Right. And somehow I came across a clip, the Evil Enchantress clip, with Pinkie Pie dancing with a floppy tongue and Fluttershy, and it was muted when I first saw it, and I clicked on it expecting to hear some kids up, and I hear, she's an evil enchantress. And I was like, what? Okay, I have to see this in context. So I watched that. That was actually the first episode I watched all the way through, and I was like, huh. There's some good stuff in there.
Good stuff.
And then I forgot about it for a little while till I saw Griffin animated next to Rainbow Dash, and I was like, that's from that pony show, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, so I watched that episode, and then I went and then the rest is very similar to what
Exactly,
to
it is.
all of us. First one, have to watch the second one, and here we are.
Well, when did you make your first song on it?
The first song was "Proud to Be a Brony," and it was is actually an instrumental that my brother had written, which Nate Basic over there. We do like all our music together, and yeah, this instrumental. He's like, "You want to do something with this? I'm not going to use it for anything," and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Wow.
I don't think he expected what came after that.
What have you
That
done?
was, yeah. It was. I had heard Living Tombstone and Eurobeat, and they were good, but they were different. I was like, I feel like we need some, vocal-driven, kind of chill music.
Yeah, yours was one of the first like original songs that I heard.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I ever heard that. I don't think I've ever told you this, but like when I first heard this song, I did not imagine you were how you are, Galen. That's I was just like, I imagined like this dude with like a Jesus beard and long hair, and I was just
Wait,
like,
so why is it that everyone thought you looked different? Because I've told you the same thing.
Michelle, the first time Michelle met me, she said, "I thought you were Asian." I was like, and you have the best one. Tell what you told me.
I was trying to think of how to describe him. I was thinking of like a kind of a bigger, stockier guy, and I think I ended up describing you as like like the people in the Thumb Wars movies.
Oh my God.
That's what you look. That's what I envisioned in my head. I meant it as a compliment, of course. But.
Well, that's actually, I was working on a secret project at the time you told me that, and I was like, oh, I've got this big project I'm working on in Hollywood. I can't tell anybody about it. It's a big secret. And then we talked a little more, and you said, I don't know if you've ever seen those Thumb Wars things. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And so I told you, it's like officially like the trailers are out now, so I can tell people, but I'm actually in the next Thumb Wars movie by Steve Odekirk. So, and I had filmed it right before you had said that.
Right.
And it was like,
I don't think you were allowed to say anything to anybody, but I brought it up on accident completely.
Yep.
On a different topic. So, as far as how I got into the show, so. For me, it was also late. It was late 2011, and I was, as we've discussed this weekend, I'm big into Chippendale Rescue Rangers, and was on a fan forum there. Met a lot of people. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Golf clap. And we, so a number of people, because again, we're a bunch of people that are into animation there. Were starting to get into My Little Pony, but I wasn't interested. I was, I remembered the commercials as a kid. I remembered seeing, oh, you can brush their hair. And as a kid, I was just always so annoyed. I'm like, come on, get back to my cartoon. Right. Like, give me my really cool boy cartoon. Yeah. And so people were watching, starting to get into My Little Pony, and I was just uninterested. And one day, I also, the first thing I think I saw was the Moonbase Alpha pony video, because that was going around the forum, and people were sharing it, and I saw it, and I'm like, well, this is bizarre, strange. And then I saw the Evil Enchantress video, to which I'm like, well, the people who are watching the show are really going hog wild with it, not realizing that it was actually the show clip. I figured it was edited. I was like, well, that's funny, but I still wasn't interested in watching the show. And then my girlfriend at the time, Sarah, was like, hey, why don't you watch one episode with me? And most shows I've gotten into in the last 15 years have started this way, with Sarah saying, hey, why don't you watch this show with me? And me going, oh, I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if I have the interest. And she showed me Fall Weather Friends was actually the first episode that I saw, which involved Rainbow Dash and Applejack, in a racing contest, and kind of Twilight Sparkle involved in this racing contest. And she showed me this episode first, because she knows I'm into racing. So she's like, well, if there's a chance, maybe this will be it. And I was so surprised when I first saw Rainbow Dash, because it was not the kind of character I was expecting to see in My Little Pony. I'm
Yeah,
like,
she always dresses in style.
right. I'm like, where's the style, Rainbow Dash? You know, you have this tomboy character. You know, she's brash and just like competitive, and I was like, oh, this is, and then Applejack shows up, and they're butting heads over this, and I'm like, this is interesting. So immediately I latched on to Rainbow Dash, but I didn't think I was going to watch the whole show. I saw the one episode. I said, ha, there, Sarah, that's the one I'm going to watch. I don't need to watch it anymore. And then I was sitting around. I had just headed off to college, and when you move into the dorms, you have like a week. They make you move in like a week before the semester starts. And so I moved in, and I didn't have anything really to do. So I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe I'll watch one more episode, because I knew season 2 was coming up. And I didn't watch one new episode or two. I watched the entire first season in 3 days. Yeah. And it was about halfway through that where I was like, oh, crap. And I know that, like, even though at the time Sarah and I were in a long-distance relationship, I know at one point in the middle of the night she woke up smiling and didn't know why. So yeah, that's that's how I ended up getting into it, and then just starting to make content, and eventually, again, getting to meet everyone that's up here.
Yeah. Am I good here? Okay. Similar to you guys in some ways, where in the early 2010s, I noticed like the internet taking off as far as becoming more mainstream, and seeing like Rage comics and like Know Your Meme and meme based. And I'm like, whoa, I want to be part of that culture. I want to be cool and know internet, you know, inside jokes and stuff like that. And I saw Bronies pop up as one of those inside jokes, and I'm like, well, I need context. So I started pursuing, like, you know, I want to know what they're talking about. What's a derpy, you know? And I was also in my last year of college around this time. I was in a class called the Study of Deviance. And we had to do a project where at the end of the semester we presented a just research discussion about a deviant subculture. And I was like, well, those bronies are pretty deviant. I asked my teacher, and I'm like, can I do a video project about them? And she's like, I want you to. My God, please. She was very encouraging. So I basically had an excuse to get online and just geek out looking at brony content and humor and deviancy. And I ended up making a video about it called Ballad of the Brony. Yeah, which was my first YouTube video essay on my channel. And it's still up there to this day. Yeah, Brony Chronicles came afterwards. But yeah, I kind of just immersed myself. And initially I was like, wow, what a bunch of weirdos. And then I was like, wow, we're a bunch of weirdos. And I met them through it. I met Paleo first, and then the dominoes started to fall with the rest of them. And yeah, I had no idea if you would have told me 10 years ago, where it's like you're going to be hanging with these man children a decade later.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, you better count me as one of them. Yeah. But I'm pleasantly surprised, and also for what it's worth, my career would not have taken off without Bronies. I wouldn't have met my best friends if it wasn't for Bronies, and I wouldn't have met my, current girlfriend. Wow, I say current.
You've only been with her for 6 years.
This current model, I'm thinking about trading her in.
Is Laura here, or is she not here?
Not anymore. She's left. I'm gonna be in trouble. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. As far as how I got in, as far as how I got into it, well, I think I started seeing like YouTube poops. Yeah. There was like very very early ones, of the show. And then I just started looking at clips of the show, and I was also getting an anime at the same time, and I was watching stuff like Lucky Star, and I was like, I want to watch some cute things, and like the ponies like were obviously cute, so I started watching the show and then watched it throughout a whole weekend, and I was also doing YouTube stuff at the time. I was trying to get my YouTube channel starting, and I had been trying to make like some random videos like every week. And luckily, I got into the show right before season 2 started. So I was like, I should do like a review of like the episodes like when they come out. So I started doing that. Unfortunately, those videos aren't around anymore because like I got C&D'd by Hasbro at the time.
I
so
tipped
like
them off.
yeah. So those videos aren't around anymore, and I can't find them either.
Wait, cease and desist?
Well, not cease. No, copyright, like a copyright flag. Yeah, not cease and desist, but yeah, that was like a thing, like for a while, like in like 2013, 2014, for people. But yeah, and then like Saber said, I met him. I remember I messaged him to like talk on Skype, and because I had seen like I searched for a video that was going to be similar to a video I was going to make, because I was going to make a video called "Why My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is So Good and Why You Should Give It a Chance," and it was like a long video. I was searching for other videos that would be similar to it, and his video popped up, and I was like, well, I'm not going to watch it yet because I want to do my own thing first. And then I did my video, and then I messaged him, and we started talking. And that's pretty much how we met everybody else, like within the same year, pretty much.
Yeah.
Remember Skype?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I'm just curious, how many of you in the audience consider yourself a brony?
Okay.
All right. Now, hands down, how many of you are like, heck no, I'm not a brony?
Yeah. With the wonderful
Well, thanks for
costume.
coming out to the panel, finding out. Were you like,
It's all good.
hopefully they're like, no, just psych, they're not a thing anymore.
See, I thought that was a Wonderbolt costume until just now.
Never.
I do want to ask a question to you guys.
Yes.
Did you think it was last this long?
Not really. Like I thought it would like ended like around 2015 is when it started to slow down a little. Well, because like seasons, what was it like 5 and 6?
I would say 5 and 6. For me personally,
Yeah.
were a little bit of a dip in quality and
Yeah.
kind of started falling off a little bit.
Right.
And then season 7 came in like
fierce.
slamming. Like I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, we back, baby.
Right.
Let's go.
Like season 7 and on was just like, dang, bring A game. All right, I see.
Part of the reason I enjoyed it so much is because I thought it was going to be a flash in the pan. And so I was in
Yeah.
the Navy. Every time I went on deployment, I fully expected to come back and log into the internet and it to have been like, what's a brony? What's like gone. And then it never was, and here we are. So
Yeah.
I had a lot of optimism in regards to maybe not how long the
Optimism?
I know, not my thing, right? But maybe not necessarily how long the show lasted, but as far as the fandom went, and again, my reference point was the Chippendale Rescue Ranger fandom, which refuses to die, and now we have a movie that just came out. Yeah, I mean, again, the last like real content we had gotten was back in 1991. Where the internet wasn't that big of a thing as far as like fan forums and whatnot. So when I got back into the show, being Chip and Dale around 2006, that's when I discovered this fan forum, and I'm like, there's still people talking about this and writing fan fictions and making art. And again, like comparatively, like with the Brony fandom, like it is small. Like, you know, you don't have that widespread reach, but seeing how that was able to last all those years, you know, I had no new episode had come out for 15 years, and there were still people that were hanging around wanting to discuss the show and getting together, meeting up. Like my first convention I went to was actually a Ranger convention. There were 6 people. But we had a blast. And, you know, but it was, that's where I saw, you know, for how big the My Little Pony fandom got and just kind of the culture built around it. And I was like, no, I have faith that, you know, every time you hear the fandom's dying, I was rolling my eyes so hard. So Yeah, I had optimism.
I remember when me and Saber were interviewing people for the Brony Chronicles. Like some people were like, because this was back in 2012. We were interviewing people at BronyCon 2012 and Everfree Northwest 2012. And some people were like, "Yeah, this is like the peak that we have right now. That was not the peak, because the peak came like later, as far as like how many people were like interested, and then like BronyCon 2019 that had like the largest attendance, and then like of course My Little Pony is a franchise, so it's just gonna live forever.
Forever. As long as they keep making, and with this fandom, they're making money.
Yeah. So I do want to get some questions from the audience. Do we have a wireless mic or anything? Yeah, I got you. Okay, thank you.
Surprise.
So if you want to ask a question, should we do a line?
Probably.
Yeah. If you want to do a line in the middle.
Once again, can we get a round of applause for the AV staff and all the staff here at MomoCon? This is the biggest convention I've had this kind of involvement in, and I'm very impressed with everything so far. It's been
so professional.
It's been a wild and fun weekend so far. It's Saturday, right? Saturday. I'm losing track of the days. Right.
I'm used to spending my energy in 3-day chunks, and I know tomorrow I'm going to be like...
All right, hello.
Hi, hopefully it's working. Yes, it is. So, excuse me, now that G5 is starting up, what is your view on, like, say, the newer generation of fans that would be coming on board now, say, compared to, you know, the first generation Bronies that came on when G4 started up? Is there, like, a difference that you notice between then and now, so to say, and what do you hope to see from the new generation of fans that are going to come on when G5 comes in?
It's like Digimon. It's like Digimon Adventure 1 and Digimon Adventure 2 with like the new Digidestined, where it's like you're looking at them like the new Saberspark, the new Paleo, something like that. You just like look at like what they do.
I feel like a wise old man, like a veteran, and like,
back in my day, it was 2D.
I think a lot of us get a kick out of like new drama, where it's like, you haven't even seen the scripture. It goes back many years. I haven't really noticed like, you could tell that one's a G5 fan. Like, I feel like a lot of people are just embracing it as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't think we're there yet, maybe, with where like you're gonna get these people who are like, what's G4?
I do need to notice something interesting. I noticed some people that grew up with G3, like, are like old enough now to where like, oh yeah, G3 was good. Like with there's some good stuff in G3, like as far as like designs and stuff that I like, but like as far as like the cartoons go, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
All I ask of the G4 fans is that please don't be abrasive to the G5 fans. Just let them enjoy the thing.
Yes.
We're all in this together.
No gatekeeping. We love and tolerate, right? That's what we get.
Right. Yeah, Brohoof, man.
There you go. But I'll tell you this, you know, from what I've seen of G5 and just the special that aired, I'm very excited to see where this goes. Like, I love the characters already.
Yeah. I immediately loved all the main 5 in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. All right. My question is for Race.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So, what was it like being on Steve Harvey, and how did that happen?
Oh yeah.
All right. So for those of you that are less familiar with the Bronies, I was actually on the Steve Harvey show. They had a segment on that show called "Is It Weird?" And actually, 2 of us up here were contacted to be on it. Gabe was also contacted, and Gabe gave them the hardest time. He's like, "I'm not falling for your crud."
Well, I gave the wrong answers. When they ask, "Is it weird?" in their head, they're going, "Yes, it is," but they don't want to give that away to you. So they're like, how many pony toys do you have, and could you bring them, and could you play with them, and could you? And I'm like, no, I don't.
They thought that they could exploit Gabe a lot more than me, because for me, they just went, do you have toys? And I'm like, no, and they're like, all right, next question.
No,
Gabe,
actually,
they're like, hey,
it's good. They probably could have exploited me better, man. You gave them a run for their money. It was awesome.
So I got contacted by one of the producers, and initially I actually turned it down, mostly because when they contact you, they're like, yeah, so can you show up in 5 days? And I'm like, I have a job. I can't just suddenly see you guys.
Was it far from you?
What's that?
Was it far from you?
It was in Chicago. I'm from Los Angeles. So, yeah, and they wanted me to walk. No, they covered the transportation and all that. But so initially I turned it down, and then I mentioned it to my manager kind of laughingly, and he goes, you going to do it? I'm like, well, should I? And he's like, you should do it. Oh, all right. So, yeah, I ended up getting back in contact, ending up on the Steve Harvey show, and it was so funny because, again, for reference, the segment is called Is It Weird? So there's really no question in regards to what am I getting myself into. Also, they were transparent in sending me like, oh, here's like, an idea of the segments, because they had filmed these previously. So I was able to kind of formulate my attack plan, like, all right, going into this, here's how I want to present. And it was, again, very interesting where they ask you your story multiple times over the phone, and then once you get there, they hand you a script. It's not that they're making up what you're saying, but they certainly embellish on the word usage. They
obsessed. They wanted you to say obsessed.
Wanted me to say I was obsessed. But the problem was, at no point before showing up did I ever use the word obsessed. So once I was in front of those cameras, I also was not going to use the word obsessed, because I'm like, that immediately paints a picture where people are going to automatically go, I can't relate. And, I don't know. I wanted to try and somehow win over the crowd, win over Steve Harvey. And I knew that there was a psychiatrist that I was going to have to get through first after seeing the segment a couple times. And he... I worry that you border on, yeah. Right, so he got into it. Now, they were telling me beforehand how, oh, don't worry, it's really good. Like, he read your story, he knows what he's going to say, it's real good, which is a mistake that they told me that. Because I'm like, so he already knows what he's going to say. So I got some... You can't give him any reason to say it. Right? I got some curveballs for him then. Again, so I get up there, and the psychiatrist is, I tell my story. They have you go over it a few times. I finally tell it in front of the cameras, and then that's where the psychiatrist butts in, and he's all, I think it's really progressive of you that you're watching a show that empowers women, but I think it's really regressive of you. And I'm like, so we went from progressive to regressive. And he's like, yeah, all the stuff you're doing, your life. And all I told him was I make videos, I paint up demolition derby cars as the characters, and that I've seen every episode. I was like, that's me, that's it. And he's like, wow, this is dangerous, man. To have an interest,
you
calm down.
You called him out, though, because he said, I worry that you're bordering on, this is like problematic obsessive behavior. And you said, because of the derby cars?
I said, because I painted up a few cars.
And he goes, well, that and everything you said. And then he shut up.
Yeah. He was like, well, and everyone laughs, but then he never had anything else to say. And then Steve, I had my plan to reel Steve in, where I was like, all right, Steve, I got to get you. They told me I'm not allowed to say it's weird. And I always present it that way. I go, hey, so this is weird. So I'm into My Little Pony. And I'm like, how do I do this? And that's where, like I mentioned, I told him the story about how I watched the full season in 3 days. And I'm like, do you want to know, Steve, what I said to myself when I realized I had become a brony? And he leans forward, he goes, what did you say to yourself? And I can't repeat the word that I said here. That's right, I cussed on national television, everybody. It was edited, and they did cut it out. But yeah, then he came over to my side. I did not think it was going to happen. Anyway, sorry about the long story. It was quite the experience. They dressed me up like a Gunther, did my hair terribly, and it was wild. So yeah, that was the Steve Harvey experience.
I liked his reaction. He was like, "You watched 26 episodes of a damn cartoon?"
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, Steve, there are a lot more of us out there than you know.
Thank you, dude. Oh.
Thank you.
Hello. I just want to start by saying that I started watching you guys when I was like 14 years old.
Here it is. We've been getting a lot of this lately.
We're feeling
I'm 21. You guys ruined me. I'm dressed as Christian.
I was about to
I've
say.
gone down a dark path. But I do have a single question. Do you remember Brony MLP? And if so, what are your thoughts on this person?
Wait, who? Who'd you say?
Oh, yeah. Just a
Wait.
content creator who made reviews and then, I guess, fell out of that I guess, circle of content. I don't know what Digi's up to nowadays, but
Okay.
definitely a reviewer who made some reviews.
That's my only question.
Yeah, I don't think we interacted with him much. So.
I just remember them being a very interesting individual.
To be perfectly honest, most Bronies are
Yeah.
interesting individuals. But I'm also talking to a Christian cosplayer, so. I gotta say though, the Sonic Chew medallion, did you make that yourself?
Yes, with
God
Crayola model magic. That's
God
Oh,
damn.
nice.
I call the authorities.
Yeah, so I have a question for Saberspark.
What's up?
So you said it yourself that this fandom is how your career got to where it is now.
Yep.
So I've noticed that there's a lot of content that's no longer available for people to experience.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that at all?
Hated it. I was embarrassed and I deleted it all. No, I'm joking. There was, when I started to segue from making pony videos to just doing open water animation videos, I'm like, okay, well, I'm obviously going in a new direction and rebranding myself. I should unlist these other videos just so it doesn't confuse new viewers. And so I cherry picked some videos where I'm like, they never really get that many views to begin with, and they don't really represent me now. So I unlisted them. And then, though there are a handful where I kept them public, like Battle of the Brony and Brony Chronicles, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm embarrassed, but more of YouTube's algorithm where I'm like, well, I want to optimize this new wave of branding and make sure that new viewers know who I am and what I'm making now. So that was it.
All right, cool. Thank you.
I might re-upload them, or put them on an archive channel.
Hey.
Do like Saberspark Corpse.
Yeah, sure.
There was actually somebody like contacting me about like Brony Breakdown when we were doing that and like old episodes, and like I cannot log in to the Brony Breakdown YouTube channel to list them because like they're unlisted, but like I don't remember the password, so I can't log back into it.
Getting back into old YouTube accounts is impossible.
It's like Fort Knox.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting him on the spot.
I like being put on the spot.
Hi. This is a question for anyone on the panel or audience, really. Have you found other fandoms through the Brony fandom, and have you stuck with it?
No, have you found other fandoms through the Brony fandom?
Through the Brony fandom.
I know there's some, but I can't.
Well, Paleo became a Christian because of the doing the Christian fandom. I mean, I feel
The
like
Bible fandom.
furries are like Brony adjacent. So I haven't been to a furry convention yet, but we'll see.
Someday.
Chip and Dale fandom, I guess all 7 of them, and I don't know. There's a lot of crossover with different. Because I mean, most folks aren't just solely one type of fan. They've got multiple, things that they like. So, Hey, hold on. Let if you want to talk, you have to get in line.
I was going to add on to something you said.
Yo, what up?
Yeah, so I was saying that you're arguing about there being a lot of crossover. Because I never at least see people on this old Chinese New fans like old actors that were both Bronies and Chip and Dale fans. That's weird.
How about that? Yeah, so I guess there's some cross section. How about you guys?
I'm trying. I know there's one, but I can't remember what it was.
Christians. Well, I told you. Brought them to the Sunday school convention. Yeah. What's your favorite of the main three? The Holy Spirit.
I guess the easy answer for me is I guess not.
No.
To still answer the question, but I've been very committed to this one.
Yes, you have, to a fault.
I am. But thank you. Hello.
Hi. As one of the 3 Equestria Girls fans in existence, I have a question. What are your thoughts on the prospects of Gen 5 Equestria Girls? / what would you hope they do with it?
Seems a bit derivative.
Maybe make the people look like people.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they might look better in 3D.
What do you know about bad-looking 3D?
I'm cursed with knowledge.
But I like the Equestria Girls like stuff too.
Yeah.
Like especially later on, I think they got a lot better. But yeah, I'd be up for it. Like more content. So.
You can definitely tell that Hasbro went into this generation where they're like, and if for G3 to G4, they're like, just find someone to make it. Who cares? Lauren, you want to make it? And she's like, sure. And she actually like revitalized it and gave it a brand new coat of paint that gives it quality, while also cashing in on like the My Little Pony franchise and nostalgia.
Yeah.
But then Hasbro was like, with G5, they had like a battle room with blueprints and like they're like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this. We're making so much money now. It's our franchise. We're taking it back and we're gonna go crazy in G5, which is why like. It wasn't just the cartoons. It was like a movie, specials, the entire series, shorts, YouTube uploads. You can tell they went big with this generation.
I'm just wondering when Hasbro's going to acknowledge that the whole reason they can do that is because of the people they've been cease and desisting all these years.
They won't.
Thank you.
You got 10 minutes left, by the way, so try to get to everybody's questions. Hello. You can bend the microphone down if you'd like.
Do the queen thing.
See you can
take
the microphone head
down.
and just bend it down. There you go.
There you go.
Hello? Okay.
Hello.
So I've been a fan since Gen 3, but during the height of the My Little Pony fandom in Gen 4, I was still fairly younger. And a lot of the My Little Pony fans make a lot of creative stuff, but some of them make some stuff that's inappropriate and violent that's still accessible to younger kids. How do you think the fandom should deal with that?
It's not really. It's like anything with online, the access. It's up to the parents to teach their kids to know better, and for us to not be ignorant enough to know that kids, they're gonna look at this stuff. I mean, I was a kid once, and I went online. Oh God, what are they doing to Mickey? But I think you just have to be tactful about it. The fandom being like, I feel like you can read the room and know what's appropriate. Like obviously if somebody's walking around, in a public space screaming about, Pony, Rule 34, it's like, stop. That's not socially acceptable. But that's just my entire vibe is, I feel like if you're a well-adjusted human being, which surprisingly can be a Brony at time, you should know the difference and know where and when to talk about this stuff if you want to, but not around kids. Which, in my experience, when it comes to these conventions, for the Brony conventions, they're very good about that. Mm-hmm. They're very respectful, and the fandom calls people out where it's like, hey, cut it out. Take that somewhere else, not in front of the kids. Be polite. But all it takes is one bad interaction to get online, and then everybody else sees Bronies is completely messed up. And it's like, great. We raised $20,000 for a cancer charity, and we're actively trying to keep people from being crappy in front of kids. But it takes one, breaking the armor, and we all get labeled as
people
garbage.
Generalize, people stereotype. It's an issue that goes well beyond the fandom.
It's a human thing. All humans do this, every single one.
And it should also be pointed out that through the experience over the years, you mentioned like the violent stuff. I know there's a number of things that were created because My Little Pony was a
because
hot
it got popular.
But they
It's
weren't
the
actually,
juxtaposition,
and they weren't actually fans of the show.
Right.
They just
Associated
said,
with the fandom.
this is going to be jarring, So, and again, internet, you can only.
It's just a human thing to do sweeping generalizations. because we're awful creatures. All of us, I sweeping generalization, we're all awful. No, we try, though. We try to keep it clean.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Okay, so I don't have a question, but I have a fan art picture for you, if you want it.
For me?
Yes.
Oh, I would love to see it.
Oh, you're going to like this.
Are you cool if I show it to the audience? What's your name? Riley. Hey, it's sunset. I got you into this show. I'm sorry. Welcome to the suck. Thank you so very much, Riley. I appreciate you. Thank you. Very cool. Thank you.
Hello.
This is my office.
Hey, so now that My Little Pony season 4.54 is over, I have a question about what y'all think about having the changelings actually change from, hey, we're evil to, hey, we're now colorful, nice creatures? And do you think that Christmas made the change as well? How do you think that will have played out throughout the series?
Just to recap the question. So wait, so like crazy. I'm sorry. One more time. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. You're fine.
It's fine.
So now that the season 4.54 is over, what do you think about having the changelings that was like the big evil creature?
Changelings,
from,
yeah.
Hey, we're bad to, hey, we're now colorful good creatures.
Right.
And do you think that Christmas should have changed as well?
So I really liked the Changeling army, that whole evil side. They looked cool and everything. And I remember when the transition initially happened, I almost had a G3.5 moment.
Right. Same.
For those that don't know, it almost killed me. Okay. But yeah, I did enjoy the Changelings as their evil selves. But I also
I get why they changed them, you know. But I do miss them being like this evil presence in Equestria. Kind of kept you on your toes or hooves, I guess.
No, I like their old designs, but I like that they're on the side of good. So it's like one of those double-edged swords type of things. And I like with Chrysalis, they made it clear like she was just bad to the bone. Like she just I mean it was just interesting. Because it's one of those situations where like you think of like those last final villains, and that's something I really liked about it. Like I know they like adjusted some things in like the comics or something like that, or like later on where they said like, oh, they tried to rehabilitate them or something. But like I love the fact that it was just like, no, these three are bad. Lock them up. That's it. It's just like
predictable.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, they really froze a little girl like that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes left, so we're going to do a little bit of a lightning round.
A second. All right, there we go. All right, 2 questions. 1, can you guys sign this comic real quick?
Afterwards, after the panel, yeah.
Okay. Now, next question, I had a lot of questions, but I had to pick one. All right, since the Brony fandom's almost done, would you say that the pony style is more of an art style now, or do you think it's still part of a fandom? Like it's specifically meant for My Little Pony, but people are taking the designs of MLP and Equestria Girls and actually making their own stories with it now. Would you say it's just a general art style, like anime style now?
I would say that like if it wasn't for Lauren Faust's design, we would not be here. Like as far as like how popular it got.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for her designs, like specifically, I think that's like the main thing that made it blow up. Because the thing is, like with the previous generations, that they look more horse-like, and like the G4 ponies don't look as horse-like because they're like they got the big eyes. So.
Yeah, it like reminded me of Powerpuff Girls when I first saw it. I was just like,
yeah. So it has sort of become like a style of its own, because I've seen people like making like other OCs and stuff that like have like a pony style to them, but like they're a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Hello.
Hello. Whoa. So this, I did see it referenced up here, and it actually got me into the fandom. Thanks, K-Cat. What do you think of Fallout Equestria?
Have any of us experienced Fallout? I think we.
I don't think any of us got into it.
I don't think a single.
I always like saw it, but I never like got into it. I was just like, what is that? Because I remember like asking a couple people like, what is that? And then they explained it like once or twice, but I never got into it fully myself.
From our perspective, it is like the mystery of the fandom. It's the popular thing that none of us know about.
Yeah. We're uncultured.
We
it
don't
just kind of
read.
threw me into the deep end of it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. I could be nice to you guys, but I'm gonna be a jerk.
Usually you are.
As normal.
I'm kidding. Go.
I could take like your Patreon money right now.
Fair enough.
Who is your favorite pony?
Twilight.
Fluttershy all day.
If you two fall down, I swear to Celestia.
Can I cheat? Can I cheat?
Cheat.
Define cheat.
It's not a pony, but she's in ponies.
Ah.
Smolder.
Oh, the dragon.
I know.
And really? Okay. Oh, all right.
Sunset Shimmer, I guess.
Rainbow Dash.
Rainbow Dash?
Rainbow Dash.
Paleo, you're in the way. Dude.
Yep.
There you go. That's a thing.
Oh, are you Faust? Dude, I love that.
I can't let people know I'm a brony, okay? It's being televised. Grace, you recently posted an episode of yourself and Sarah reacting to the G5 Tell Your Tale cartoon, but the rest of the crew wasn't in there, so I was wondering what are y'all's thoughts, if you've seen it.
Oh, the Tell Your Tale shorts?
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're fine. Like, I think they're better than Pony Life, definitely.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, like it's just something to look forward to each week because they're just like 5-minute shorts. So it's just kind of like a little. I said in my review that they're kind of like an appetizer before like the main course with the special, which I still haven't seen the special yet. I've been busy this weekend. And then I was like, wait, no, they're not really like an appetizer. They're more like the bread they give you at a restaurant.
Right.
And they don't give you any butter for it. It's like it's just bread. It's like it's
but
bread.
You don't like it.
Like I'll eat it because I'm hungry.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hello.
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 This question is for Gabe, actually. Given your career and employment, were you able to share your love of the fandom with others or convert
You
others?
mean when I was in the Navy?
Yes, or did you have to kind of keep that as like, this is a separate persona of mine that I do this other thing on the side?
Well, I've always been very vocal about, stuff that I like. Everybody in my division knew that, I was into My Little Pony. They all thought I was weird, but not just because of that, because I'm weird. I didn't meet another Brony until I started being more public and getting kind of popular. Initially, it was for fan art that I was making. Weirdly, I used to use Inkscape, and the first Brony I met knew who I was, and I actually met on the ship. And he was like, "Are you Black Griffin?" And I was like, "That is so weird to hear that name outside of DeviantArt, And he was really cool. And then but I didn't actually get to meet Bronies until BronyCon 2013, which was 2 years after I had been involved, in the show. So that was very overwhelming and cool. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. I kind of like having, a little bit hipster in that way. I like having my thing. So it was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Hello. I have a question for Saberspark.
What's up?
I noticed you're wearing a very baller bonkle shirt you got there.
Yeah.
And I'm not a brony, sorry. But I have a question. Are you ever gonna do anything about the Bionicle movies?
Eventually. Yeah, I want to do a deep dive. I plan on it.
Nice.
It's funny because Bionicle was one of the first fandoms I actually joined.
I love Bionicle.
Yeah.
I love
awesome.
how wild its lore is. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
All right, 2 more questions. We gotta get going.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, look. I was a bit late, so I don't know if you guys talked about this yet, but this is for all of y'all, so I'll keep it quick. In your guys' heads, what would it we haven't even started on G5 yet, but what would G6 be like for all of y'all? What is your mind?
G6?
What would a G6 be?
VR.
They're gonna have a 5th leg.
Live action. Only sea ponies.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question here.
Hey guys, yeah.
Hi.
I want to know, what would you consider your favorite weird or wild convention moment in My Little Pony?
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. Weird moment for My Little Pony.
Well, can I just say that there's a lot of weird, a lot of weird and wild moments, especially on our Who's Line shows. Oh, and we happen to have one at 5:30 later today.
It will be in this room.
In here.
I'm gonna do a perfect segue. We've met some really crazy, cool people at the autograph table, and the voice of Sweetie Belle is here, and we're signing autographs
She's
at
right
2:30
there.
downstairs.
Sweetie Belle.
She's not a brony though. She is a brony. Okay, she is a brony. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but
There's like so many.
There's
Like,
a
it's just like
lot.
there's so many.
Yeah. I know that as soon as we
And
walk
there's, like,
away, I'm
some
gonna
are just
think
in
of
the
one and be like,
beginning.
oh.
Y'all's life is way crazier than mine, but like legit, I think I know how people feel like in Japan when they're like, you call me by my first name when you don't know me that well. I could never relate to that. And then I was at a PonyCon expecting to be called Hero, and some dude, to this day I don't know who he is, some dude walked by, he's like, hey Andrew, and he was definitely talking to me. I was like,
Don't do that. That was odd.
Weird.
That's my porn name.
The mic picked it up. All right.
All right. Thank you for coming out.
We'll catch y'all around later. Thank you. All right, we got